What y'all working on? What y'all do today? How was your weekend? Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm gonna try to stay on to see if anybody checks on. But this weather has been it's raining here in good old North Carolina. Mm, what's going on? I'm doing a quick NEMT provider check in. Little Q&A. I don't say a little, but a Q&A. So, um, one of the things I did want to talk about was if you are in the North Carolina area, this weekend, this past Saturday, I hosted the NEMT meetup here in Charlotte. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the NEMT meetup is a networking event that is specifically for people that own a passenger transportation business or they're NEMT providers. But it doesn't matter where you are in your business. It's really for networking. And so what happened or how it even came about was like I'm thinking, okay, I have this passenger transportation business. I know providers in different areas. And so I'm like, yo, it'd be really dope that we could all come together and meet, but not only just networking, but learn on specific things. So whatever, we changed the topic up, but this past Saturday it was in here in Charlotte. And man, it was awesome. So started off, of course, like I have like a light brunch, coffee, juice, couple of pastries, and stuff. But then the next part of the agenda is like an icebreaker where hopefully people, everybody kind of introduce themselves. So if you are new to the area, just starting your passenger transportation, kind of not sure what to do, and you just need a tribe that can kind of help you, navigate through that space. And so the game was called like Destination Desire. I think that's what it was. But what it was around is, okay, as a transportation business owner or NEMT provider, like what's your dream destination to either provide, like what area would you love to be a provider or provide transportation in, or that dream place that you would like to go to maybe even work on a special project around transportation. So that's how it started. And the first person that went, she was just starting her passenger transportation, just becoming an NEMT provider. And so she's like, I'm just kind of starting. I ain't really got that far yet with what I want to do or even dreams. And so part of the conversation with her is to say, okay, you started this passenger transportation business. You are trying to become an NEMT provider here in North Carolina, right? And so when you start, part of the stuff that you got to do when you start is figure out your goals. And so I just tell people, like, don't get into don't get into any business, but specifically passion transportation. You haven't done any research, and you didn't take the time to sit down and say, okay, what is it that I want to do? Do I want, in 5 years I want to have X amount of vehicles in my fleet, and X amount of years I want to add a certain amount of private pay clients, because I honestly don't think that people as entrepreneurs we start a business, or we shouldn't now think, but you don't start your business thinking I want to work with a company that will take a portion of my cut. Like most people go into it thinking, I want to get this return on my investment. I want to make this type of profit. I want to work with these type of people. And so for to me, when you think about business, passenger transportation is the exact same thing. It's nothing different. Let me see live chat. But so we just talking and anyway, we're just she's just saying I don't really know, and so we're talking about goals, and it just made me kind of stay in that space for a little while and talk about like what do you want to do, and don't, even though you might have started here like not knowing, but when you get home hopefully you'll sit down and think about some goals you want. Some people start with brokers, some people start with student transportation, some people that were there take transport people to work, some people do airport. It's different things you can do in transportation. So don't let nobody tell you, oh well, you can just be an NEMT provider and that's it. And so to me, the industry is passion transportation. Like you're in this transportation industry. Imagine the possibilities. Like you can transport people where they need to go. And so the word is need, not where you want to take them. But in passion transportation, when you decide what community you're going to service, right? Then now you got to figure out who your target customer is. Like, who am I focusing on? And because you have a transportation business, does not mean that everybody is your customer. And so I just tell people, like I was told, if you think everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer. And so I'm like, I'm just, so it sparked a really good conversation around goal setting, whether it's yearly, quarterly, monthly, and even down to your task, but making those goals like realistic and not saying, okay, well, I want to make six figures in my business, but you're not putting any work behind it. Or I want private pay, like I want to add my, if I do work with brokers, I also want to have my own customers. And so then you got to think, well, what I got to do? What is it that I need to do to get my own customers? And so you got to figure that shit out, figure that part out. Like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, I know I need to do marketing, but it's different forms of marketing. I talked to some entrepreneurs and they are not on social media. Like, man, I'm just not on social media. And I'm like, in 2024, why are you not on social media? Like, why are you not on LinkedIn? Why are you not doing these things? Because if you don't know who your customer is and you're just saying I want to make six figures, I want to make 10K a month, but you haven't really figured out how. And so when you set those realistic goals, then that's where the how comes in. Like, how am I going to make six figures in my business? Like, what do I need to do? And so anyway, fast forward a little bit, we talked about it, and she was like, man, I'm gonna sit down. I was like, yeah, when you get home, you're gonna sit down and come up with some goals and think about that thing, because goals are important. Like, we just can't be out here, and I said it on a live, I think I was on TikTok, and I was like, man, you can't be out here just willy-nilly in it. And y'all know what willy-nilly mean if you're from the country anyway. Willy-nilly mean like you just kind of winging it. You don't really have you ain't got no goals. You ain't really doing a whole lot. You don't know how, and you're not even you're not even doing enough to ask the questions. Like, you're not even asking people, or reaching out to somebody that can help you to say, how do I get, how do I get to where I want to be? How do I get there? If I know I want private pay, how do I get private pay customers? Well, you gotta do some riding around, you gotta do some research. You gotta do different things. You can't just be like, oh, I want private pay. I want to do private pay. And guess what? People will put that either in my Facebook group, or they'll say it like, man, well, Stephanie, I really just want to do private pay. And so my question is always, okay, well, that's great. So what you doing to get your own customers, right? Because they ain't coming to you. They don't know that you exist if you're not doing any marketing. If you're not going to any type of networking events, you're not doing any of that. They're not just gonna be like, oh man, like they just find you. No, they don't work like that. But what I will say with private pay, and I said this to somebody like, we don't get into passenger transportation or becoming an NEMT provider with the thinking or the thought process that, I'm just gonna work for brokers or I'm gonna work for a third party company um, that's gonna take, 30 to 50% of my profit. Like you don't get into business saying I'm just gonna give away my money. Nobody does that. And so when you think about it like that, you didn't get into business to work with a third party company, vendor, or whatever, to give them a portion of your profit. You didn't do it. And so my thing is, if you didn't do it, then why are you continuing to do that? Like, why are you continuing to work with a third party company when you know that they're taking a portion of your profit? Now, is private pay like to get your own customers is not easy. You do have to do some work for sure. Like you got to get out. Whatever your comfort zone is, you better throw that away. Cause I hear some people say, "Oh, I'm shy. Oh, I'm an introvert." Not as a business owner, you can't be. I know that for a fact, and I can say I'm an introvert. But you have to be willing to talk to people about your business at any moment. And so for passenger transportation, even as a for passenger transportation or as an NEMT provider, and you decide you're going to work with a third party company or a broker, right? Well, then now it's really figuring out how you intertwine the third party company in with with your own customers. So then you say, okay, well, Stephanie, I don't know, where do I start? Like, how do I get my own customers? Okay, so think about people that when you like to shop. Some people like Walmart, some people like Target. I like Target. Some people like McDonald's, some people like Chick-fil-A. But all of these companies do some form of marketing. They know it's certain people that don't like beef, want chicken. They know that it's some people that are like a stickler for great customer service. When it comes to the product, they just want the customers, like they're gonna flock to customer service. Some people are gonna flock to lower prices. So it's really about who are you targeting, like who's your target customer. And it doesn't matter like what people might tell you. Your target customer is going to be completely based on your area or community that you're going to service and who needs what you have to offer. Period. Hold on. I'm trying to I don't know how to write now. But let's say, for example, you have a one provider, and they might be like, man, and I see it all the time in my Facebook group. They'll say, well, just go to some hospitals and dialysis clinics. And I had one person to just say, go in there with contract in hand to some assisted living facilities and dialysis clinic. Um, some hospitals because they need what you have. And so take the contract and go in there and, talk to them. And I'm like, yo, it's not that simple. But so let's say, for example, provider A doesn't have a lot of dialysis clinics near him, but provider B does. Provider A may have a lot of methadone clinics, or they may have a lot of nursing homes, hospice. So if you think about it like that, you have to do some research on your area. Like you can't just assume that everybody has or everybody customer base is going to be the same. And so that's the first thing you really have to do in your research is driving around works for me. Like, and I still, when I'm out and about, I still come across facilities that I'm like, yo, I ain't never even seen that. But driving around works. Google works, but I think driving around to me is like the best. You can do marketing. You got an option even with marketing with cold calling. Like if you once you drive around and you know what's there, you could either go in and have conversations or you can add cold calling. But to me, you got to have a plan. Like just the first thing is having a plan and saying, okay, man, listen, I know I'm starting off this business. I know I want to focus on this type of customer because this is what I see in my community. These are the people that I know need what I have. And so you as an entrepreneur, you taking this need, like this need right here, and you taking your services and you putting your services in front of who needs it. Because everybody is not, and I had this is a hard pill I had to swallow. Everybody don't like me. Everybody not gonna want to work with me. Some people gonna say I'm too expensive. Some people gonna say I don't like her with that van. It's different reasons. It's different reason why people may not want you to transport them or why facilities may not want to work with you. That's why it's important to find your target audience. And sometimes that thing is hard. But when you start driving around, you're like, oh man, I didn't realize it was methadone clinics. And even when on the 20th, February 20th starts this is the first boot camp for 2024. I can't remember what session it is. It's probably maybe 9 or something. I don't know. Maybe 8 or 9. But anyway, so the first thing we talk about in the boot camp, after we get the preliminaries, like after people know the basics about NEMT, if you're in the boot camp, 9 times out of 10, you know what you signed up for. So you already know what we're gonna talk about. But I kind of go over NEMT, some of the basics when it comes to ambulatory and all that, like what some of the um some of the acronyms and what things stand for. But the following week, we diving into target audience. And if you go back when I remember like I had a course class in college and it was you had to do the SWOT analysis and all that. Um and it's not and I feel like you should still do that because then it kind of helps you with this whole target audience. And so then you just drive around, you're driving around, you're doing some research, and you're like, man, okay, I didn't realize this was here. But if you don't know, if you're stuck on NEMT provider, like taking people to the doctor, and that's it, then yeah, you probably just gonna focus on them doctor's appointments and medical facilities. But if you talk to me, we focusing on passenger transportation and offering NEMT as a service. So with passenger transportation, it could mean people need a ride to work. It could mean you doing airport runs. Depending on where you live, like you could be in an area where it's a big touristy area, so you're reaching out to hotels to see if you can partner with them for transportation services. You might be rural, so you might have a lot of rehab, methadone. I mean, you have plastic surgeons, then you got surgeons, you got orthopedic specialists, you got PT, you got occupational therapy. Hey, the list goes on, but it's all about what is in your area. Because all of these things I might list, maybe two of them in your area. You're like, well, I'm in an area where there's a huge airport, or I'm near, I'm in Florida, or even you think about Vegas, where people are in Vegas every day, all day. But then you have these hotels that may not offer transportation. And so you think about when you go on a cruise, when you go on vacation, and you reach out to, you kind of search like transportation companies, or you ask the resort or wherever you're going, like, you have any, information on some local transportation. Well, it's the same thing. So you can do a little bit of both. You can provide what I consider like passion transportation, and you can add NEMT services. You don't have to just be like, okay, I own an NEMT business. You can offer passion transportation, even like taking kids to school, student transportation. The list goes on and on. We can go, I can keep going. But I say all that to say it's like a wide variety. So I just tell people, I think, don't even think outside the box. It's more like throw the box away, because you can offer different forms of transportation services in your business, and you can also include the NEMT piece, but you don't have to solely focus on that if you don't want to. Again, it's going to go back to that first thing of what am I focusing on? Like, what are my goals? What do I want in this business? Like, who do I want my customer to be? What am I going to, am I looking at hiring people? Do I want to have a fleet in 10 years? I want to have 10 vans. Do you want to add chartering service? Like, it's but you have to, in order for me, in order for you, in my opinion, in order for you to be striving for something, you have to have those goals, and those goals are important. Like, that's kind of help you to know where you want to go. Like, where do you see your business going? And guess what? You can change it, you can add to it, but the whole thing is you have to write. You want to write some goals that are achievable, that you like, okay, this is something that I can do, that I can work on, but you don't want to make them so small to where you're like, okay, I got that done quick and I'm out and I'm done. Like, make them things crazy, dream high. So anyway, I just want to come on and have a chit chat about just a small chit chat. I probably have to come back on and do another live, but if you are in the areas of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, you can go to my website, www.stephanieRharmon.com, and the meetups are all on my website. I'm trying to think. Yeah, they're all on my website. It's South Carolina. Wait, the first one is March the 9th. That is in Macon, Georgia. And then the one in March on the 23rd is back in Charlotte. And then there's one that is October the 30th in Orlando, Florida. And then I think the other one that's already set is April 20th. Listen, I was doing real good for a second. April, I'm going to go to my calendar. April 20th, yes, in Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm really looking forward to that one because I'm from Columbia area, so that's gonna be great. And then like I said, the NEMT boot camp, the current session, for the first one, I say the current session just ended that I started in November, and so the next one starts February 20th. This is 7 week online live, and so we meet every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we cover from um, fundamentals or foundation to marketing to your rates, system software, down to hiring people and policies and procedures. So we cover a lot of everything that you need to help you get started. And all of that's on my website at www.stephanieRharmon.com. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight on my YouTube family. If you are new, please make sure you subscribe and like this video. If you have any questions about something that I talked about, just make sure you put it in the comments down there. And then I come back and probably tomorrow I'm gonna try to come back and just follow up with, okay, how do you these rate this whole thing about rates. So today we just really kind of dive into, you know, figuring out your target customer. Um, and then how you can't just make up rates. We gotta have some math behind it. And so I'm not saying we're gonna dive into the calculation of your rates, but if you want to talk about rates, um, and we'll even talk about, like, I know some people work with brokers, and brokers have their own rate. And so you got to understand, like, listen, if you sign that contract to work with them, understand that you sign the contract to those rates. And yes, they let you negotiate rates based on, the trip or whatever, but a lot of times it's just their rate is their rate. So we'll chit chat about that. Y'all have a great Monday. Thank you for hanging out. And I will talk to y'all soon. I say talk to y'all like y'all talking to me, but I'll see y'all next time.